about society that we live in. So, I was told that my name is Tafazwa and I believed it. And until now, I still believe it. I think it happens to a lot of people about our names. But there's some sort of knowledge that we shouldn't be told and just believe like that. I think it gets to a point where it becomes so difficult, as I will show in the kind of work that I'm going to talk about today. So the title of the presentation is called The Role of Political Elites in Underdevelopment. And the subtitle is really why different policies have yielded similar outcomes. And for me, the answer lies in political systems that we have. And so my key assumption is that development cannot be understood outside of political systems in which development knowledge is generated or regenerated and implemented. So what is the character of political systems anyway? So Mosca argues that true democracy is unattainable, right? So that the best way to understand the decisions that are made in a political system is to understand who actually makes those decisions. His answer is that you need to analyze elites in the political system. So I'm of that kind of view, that maybe in order to understand why development has not gotten to the way that it was intended to be, maybe we need to understand the nature of political systems. Now, I'm going to talk about how I conceptualize political elites, which are the people that actually make those decisions, right? So a political elite as a concept is really a very debated thing. So a lot of people actually think that this is not a meaningful way to talk about political systems, because maybe political elites don't overtly have power. Maybe some have. There are some people behind them that covertly have power and stuff like that. But I look at political elites as a minority of individuals whose preference regularly prevails in cases of differences in preference on key political issues, right? So development is one of the political issues that came arise, and the differences are kind of, so where there's a majority, where there's a difference in a society, key individuals' way of thinking kind of prevails, right? So one way of also thinking about political elites is members who are led to their group interest, that this alertness is in turn caused or affected by a sense, explicit or implicit, of group or class solidarity, and last, that this solidarity is expressed in common will to action. Another way to look at it is all these groups, all those kind of groups which exercise political power or influence and are directly engaged in struggles of political leadership. So incidentally, I saw a cartoon here, and it's on the Department of Communications. I'm just gonna read something. It says, our friends and relatives deployed to SABC and all these places, post office, Centec. So this is about actually using political resources to some sort of clientelism, neo-patrimony, right? So why is it necessary to understand political elites? Hayden notes that a few patrimonial rulers survived colonialization, but also that scholars realize that despite the disappearance of patrimonial system of rule in Africa, the norms associated with such systems survived among the leaders of the new nation states, hence something like what we see there on that catchment, right? So Hayden, this leads to Hayden to talk about neo-patrimonialism. For Hayden, these systems are prominently feature what he calls the big man, a term that denotes political elites in those systems. He also adds that they run what he calls economies of affection, right? So they kind of distribute resources through vertical or horizontal links with other people, right? He argues that it's vital to understand the manner in which resources are distributed and power is maintained within these systems. So if Hayden is right, then the broad question of how Africa can move towards political and economic development should surely include the role that domestic relations between elites and the majority of the people play in either enabling or disabling development. So I'm not saying let's go out, let's move away from the West and Africa relations completely. But I'm saying maybe in practice we also need to have this other perspective in order to actually understand holistically what's happening. So in addition,